In my last video about how to set up an experience-based grading unit, we assigned points to tasks. Once you've assigned points to your tasks, you'll next want to determine the grade cutoff scale. How many points students need to earn to get a certain grade. True to XBG, the idea is to give you max flexibility in setting up this up for what works for you and your classroom. But I'm going to show you a ready-to-use strategy. The strategy I'm going to show you is proficient anchored scaling. It's great because it's directly tied to your proficiency rubric, which makes it easily justifiable, while also being simple and very flexible. Stay with me here because remember the goal with the whole XBG setup is to front load everything so that during the unit pretty much runs itself. Just a little bit of time up front so that students can be actively involved in the learning process. The first thing you want to do is just find the total points of all the tasks you want them to do plus the proficient test value. So for example, let's say for your unit, you wanted students to do 3 whole class activities, 2 mandatory basic tasks, 4 mandatory proficient tasks, and then 2 choice tasks, plus the proficient test value. This is using my scale, the one that I showed you before. So using this scale, that total would be 5,300 XP. That means if they do everything you want them to do, correct it for full points, and are proficient on the test, they'd get a total of 5,300 XP. Nobody's perfect, so I do tend to go and knock 200 off this value because maybe they just didn't speak up in a whole class or they didn't correct something. And then 5,100 felt a bit weird, so I would knock this down to an even 5,000 XP. This for me would be an 80%. As long as they're proficient on the test and accumulate at least 5,000 XP, they'll have an 80% for the unit. You found the 80% by adding all of those assignments and proficient level tests together. Now we're just going to take an amount and subtract it to find the 70 and the 60, and then add it to find the 90 and 100. Take a look at your test rubric. And on this rubric, keep in mind that these are discrete values. Okay, I'm not going to give 510 XP or 400 XP. These amounts correlate to what I would have previously given when using standards-based grading or percent value. I just converted those to an equivalent XP amount. For scaling, we just need that proficient value amount. Okay, here mine is 1,500. The amount that you're gonna add and subtract is just your proficient test value divided by 2. Okay, proficient divided by 2 will be true as long as you keep this scaled structure the same. Your percents and XP amounts in set increments with 2 above proficient and 2 below. Then even if you change the amount of points in the rubric, your scale XP amount will be proficient divided by 2. Again, here that's 1,500 divided by 2 or 750. And then I don't like messing with the 50, so I round that down to an even 700. To scale, we just add and subtract 700 from each total, starting with that 80% total. If you want to include half scores, 65, 75, etc., just use the rounded in-between point values. And that's it, you're done. So to recap, to find your grade cutoffs using this method, determine your proficient task plus test total to get your proficient grade total. For me, that's an 80%. And then add and subtract your proficient test value XP divided by 2. If you're using my rubric, that will be 700. And if you're using my test rubric and my XP task values, then your scale is actually now done. We just did it. You can just make now any adjustments for more or fewer tasks that you want to include.